Practical Talker Sports Show is back on this Monday after a Week 9 of football games, after Jets collapse, and after another New York team's red-hot 9-game win streak in hockey. We're back on this Monday. Jordan here, as always, Tom to my right. Ringo over the Skype. How are we doing today? I know one of us isn't doing too well because of a certain New York sports team.
Well, yeah, before we get into
That is
that
the
with
Jets.
with Ringo, you said the Jets had a collapse. In order for a collapse, that means something had to be standing up. All right, the Jets were
That's a
never
good point.
standing.
Yeah,
All right,
that's a
they
good
were
point.
always just down.
That's a very
and out.
good way to put it. Yes, I the question has been proposed. We'll start with the Jets because they really they're dominating headlines from week 1, not even week 1, from the off season. No, I'll start from week 1 because it goes into my narrative. They've been dominating headlines for the wrong reasons since week 1. Every week it's something, whether it be with the coach or their quarterback as mono, or the team's underperforming and the team looks like a disaster. It continued into week 9. The Jets lost 26-18 against the, at the time, winless Miami Dolphins. So now they both share a 1-7 record at the bottom of the AFC East. So is this rock bottom? Could it get worse? Is it the worst it can get? Ringo, we'll start with you. You are the Jet supporter here. I was in and out of the house yesterday watching clips of the Jets game, and I just kept seeing. I saw some of the worst of it. Darnold's interception at the goal line.
It was hard. It was hard to miss some of the worst.
Yeah, the safety I did see. 26-18 loss in Miami. Like Miami, it's. If Fitzpatrick strikes again against his former Jets team, the Jet defense that once looked kind of promising in the beginning of the year is now just completely vulnerable.
Didn't Jamal Adams lose a wide receiver on the field, basically?
What happened?
Jamal Adams.
Yeah, it was him and Darryl Roberts had a communication, which led to a Miami touchdown.
Darryl Roberts
In the
had
end.
a brutal pass interference play
Yeah.
where Fitzpatrick
Disgusting.
threw it up. And it like Darryl Roberts could have made a play on it. It wasn't like he was completely out of position. And he saw the ball in the air, or he noticed the receiver was getting ready to catch the ball, and he just tackled him. It was awful, just awful. But Ringo, we'll start. We'll go back to you. 26-18 loss. They're now 1-7. They lost to the winless Dolphins at the time. What are you thinking? What's going on?
All right, I'll answer the first question that you said is this rock bottom? And I'm gonna say no, it's not rock bottom. I have no confidence that.
Expect it to get worse.
Yeah, I don't expect it to get worse, but I have no confidence that I can't say it's only gonna be going up from here on out.
Well,
I can't say that.
Well, no,
I can't say that with confidence.
I think here's the thing with rock bottom is this individual loss is rock bottom because they can't have another loss like this year.
You never.
No.
know
I'm saying against the Dolphins,
yeah.
against like a team like that where
They can play the Dolphins like they play the Dolphins again. The Dolphins can go into that game with 1 win and they get their second win again.
I'm saying this loss is I don't think could be matched, but can it get worse? Yes, but that loss
Tom,
I
that's
don't think
you're
it could
wrong.
be matched.
That's where you're wrong. It can get matched because they're playing this team again.
It's
So
not going to get matched
extent
because
of it.
during that game we're going to be like, well, the Dolphins already beat them once, they could beat them again. So it's not going to get matched. If anything, it's just going to be a little bit better. Yeah, so
It's still going to be embarrassing.
No,
if they
but
lose
it's
against
just
the
it's
Dolphins.
like you're talking about. It's going to be a hairline better. If we lose to the 0-7 Dolphins twice and we're their only 2 wins of the season, that's how it can get worse.
That is pretty
all
embarrassing.
right, I have a question for you, Ringo. Since you might lose to the Dolphins twice, Jets only have 1 win right now. They're in it for the first overall pick. Statistically, they can easily have the first overall pick this year in the draft. What do the Jets look at? What do you think the Jets are thinking of? Do they maybe trade down a little bit, get a little bit more pieces since they have a lot they need to get? Do they look? Yeah, I don't want to say it. Look at a quarterback.
I don't. You're not giving up on Sam Darnold yet. Yes, he's making his own mistakes. Yes, he's looking very immature in that aspect, just throwing the ball in the air when he shouldn't be doing that. That stuff, you have to hope that can be taught and he can learn not to do those things. I believe the talent is there with Sam Darnold. I'm not saying he's going to be a Tom Brady. I'm not saying he's going to be a Tom Brady, but he does. I still believe he does have it to be a successful quarterback in the league. He just needs to fix those mental mistakes that he
I
makes.
agree. You don't give up on him now. Look at the Titans. It
Yeah.
took him this long to give up on Mariota or kind of throw in the towel. And
Yeah,
Jameis
but
Winston's still
they might have,
kicking
like I said, they might have taken a little bit too long to give up on him.
on Mariota.
Yeah, you need to know when to pull the plug.
I
This
don't
guy-
think
this
I
guy
want Sam
played-
Darnold like.
But this guy, yes, it's his second year, but he's only played in like 17, 18 games in his career.
Okay, but now
So
let's look on it.
I'm
on the
not giving him
opposite
an
end of the
excuse.
spectrum.
This isn't me giving him an excuse. Just let me finish. Now, I gotta answer your original question with like tanking and whatnot. No, the Jets. With that being said, with me saying that Sam Darnold, you don't give up on. We have a quarterback, therefore, we should not be tanking. Because if we're tanking, then that means only Sam Darnold will only be regressing. If we still look for wins as fans and not losses, then that means we're hoping for Sam Darnold to either be a part of winning games or winning games completely on his own and being a competitive quarterback, and that's looking further into his development.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't believe that they should be thinking as if they need a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think they need a quarterback now. It's not looking good at all.
No, I was gonna say
right
obviously, I don't believe that it's the time to pull Sam Darnold, or it's even near that time. I think yes, obviously, you give him the rest of the season. He goes into next season as the Jets starter. I understand that, but it's not far out of the realm of possibility when you look at what the Cardinals did. The Cardinals had.
That was a situation that like fell into their lap. The coach from Kyler Murray's school was hired by the Cardinals, and he wanted to coach, and that kind of just fell into their lap. I guess.
I was gonna say, but it looks like it worked out well for them.
That's a rare situation
Very
that
rare situation.
you may
It's
never
rare,
see again.
But you have a couple quarterbacks coming into the NFL next year who are highly touted. You have Tua, you have Trevor Lawrence, you have some quarterbacks who could make a name for themselves at the next level. But now the Jets, as I say with you, Ringle, they should leave Darnold there, see what they got. But how much longer do you really give them?
I don't think you can't say that right now. You've got to give him all of next season, and we'll see what happens next season. You can't say like, oh, he needs 2 years, he needs 1 year. Just he's the starter next year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think it's I don't think you pull the plug on him now or contemplate going another direction right now, unless the end of the rest of the way of this year is just an absolute disaster. It's even worse than now.
Well, Sam Darnold's in a lucky position also, though, because if you look at it, who's behind him? If you had another quarterback behind him who either had
could
experience,
steal his job, who could I get what you're saying.
yeah,
I don't think steal his job. I think like in a game where he's playing awful, pull him. And
Okay, wait, let's
that Patriot game
do
should have been pulled, but I think the other options were just trash.
let's do this hypothetical, okay? You know how last season the Jets traded Teddy Bridgewater to the Saints?
Yeah.
Let's pretend he's still on this roster. Okay, let's pretend he's just like the Jets want to keep him. He's Sam Darnold's backup, and like Bridgewater, he's not amazing, but he can play. He's a serviceable quarterback.
What was he 5-0 with the Saints?
Yeah,
He did what he needed to get them wins.
I mean he's on a better team. Obviously, he wouldn't
Well,
be 5-0 with the Jets, but he can do good in the position. So let's just pretend he's still on this team. Now let's say Sam Darnold has like 2 games like he did against the Patriots, like back to back. Let's say the Jets are forced to play Teddy Bridgewater and he plays good. That's an example of where Teddy Bridgewater can kind of at least steal the job for the rest of the season. If that was that type.
Depending on how the rest of the season went, he might steal the job going into next season. Because Teddy Bridgewater isn't an old quarterback.
I mean, that's all hypotheticals, and I kind of understand where you're going with that, Tom. But like you said, there's no one on the roster that is capable
so
of doing that.
You have to give
right
him
now
time to develop, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
So the thing, though, I look at it with the Jets is Adam Gase. I said it weeks ago that I don't know if he's going to make it out of the year. I think this might be one and done. And you two are like, oh, no, they don't have Darnold. Let's give him some chance. No, they got Darnold. He still looks absolutely putrid. He has no offense play calling whatsoever. He can't call a play to save his life. If he needed 1 yard or else gun to his head and he's done, guess what? there's going to be an obituary for Adam Gase in the next morning paper. It's just that simple.
He's absolutely awful, and yes, he 100% deserves to be fired at the end of the season, if not sooner, if they continue to look the way they look right now. But when he was originally hired, I didn't like it, and I just immediately hoped that he would prove me wrong. I think it's really safe to say that ship has sailed right now, and with that being said, I think he's going to stay. I don't believe the Jets are going to fire him just because this organization is so inept. And I just think that Chris Johnson is going to want like Gase and Joe Douglas to have like an off season together because, they're friends. So let's keep them together. And they're just going to ride this out for one more season. I don't see them firing Gase. I hope they do. I mean, if they repeat this Miami, Jaguars, and like Patriots losses, if they lose like this, like the rest of the season with minus like one time maybe, I think there's a better chance of the Jets firing him. But if you want my answer right now, I think he's staying. Unfortunately,
it was right from the before the season started. I said it was a disaster from week one, but the cracks started showing in the offseason. I started with a weird move of letting Maccagnan draft this year and build this year and then firing him after he built the team this year. That was definitely questionable. Then you had the stuff during the season that were kind of adding up, like the Jamal Adams stuff with the Twitter stuff where he unfollowed, whatever. And we all said, when there's smoke, there's fire, and that kind of fizzled out. But now the cracks are starting to really show with Jamal Adams. I don't think he's back. I saw immediately after the trade deadline, the Jets are going to make a deal imminent with Jamal Adams to extend him. I think he's gone after this year. I think there's a deal.
I don't think he's 100% gone. I could see him gone after this year. I don't think that's 100%. I could see him gone, but I don't think that's 100%.
Yeah, no, he's just you're really shown as a true person when you're faced with adversity, and all these times of Jamal Adams, talking. Then when you're 1-7, he's making himself look like an idiot. Recently, that's last week's news. So
let's
dive
Ringo.
That much into it.
No, I want to hear what Ringo has to say about it. I need to hear what Ringo has to say about Jamal Adams, the leader of this team. Obviously, I honestly think Le'Veon Bell took that over from him. I think Le'Veon Bell is now the leader of this team, which is something that we were all shocked about going into this season and seeing what happened. So we have Jamal Adams. Trade deadline's coming up. Comes out that Jamal Adams is, in the possibility of being dealt to the Cowboys for what? For maybe a couple players, first rounds, who knows? But it comes out there are trade discussions with the Cowboys for Jamal Adams. Now, Jamal Adams comes out and says that he sat down with everybody from the Jets higher-ups, and they said, yep, we're not going to trade you. Jamal Adams said that he wants to be here, so they came to a conclusion that Jamal Adams will be with the Jets for the foreseeable future. Then the trade talks happen, and now Jamal Adams is as upset as ever. Comes out, he feels like he was backstabbed and this and that. Just not a good look for the Jets organization, not a good look for Jamal Adams at any point. It's just not a good look at all for the New York Jets. Ringo, how'd you feel about it?
I understand where Jamal was feeling because leaving that meeting, he said that he thought he was good with the organization and they wanted to keep him. But then it came out later on that Adam Gase and Douglas said that the Cowboys came to them, and Douglas would be wrong for not doing his job and at least listening to offers. The business,
Adams
exactly.
Is not, and
so
he compared himself to Aaron Donald and Tom Brady, but he's not. He's not above the team. Yeah, okay, yeah. They say, okay, we're not going to trade you, but like Tom just said, or you just said, I'm blanking out. One of you just said the Cowboys came to them. He's got to answer that phone. He gets to say, I made a promise. I can't answer the phone. It's not all about Jamal.
Exactly.
He doesn't.
So
he's not put on
I
a
understand
pedestal.
him being upset. He has every right to feel upset, but it's the way he handled it afterwards, comparing himself to Tom Brady and Aaron Donald, and him calling out the GM publicly on Twitter. That's where he is 100% dead wrong.
Does he not know that sports is a business? Does he not understand that
Yeah.
concept that
Well,
the
no,
teams are going to do what's best for them?
It's even more of it became even more evident that it's a business with his own teammate. The Steelers inquired about Le'Veon Bell at the trade deadline. That's how you know it's not about relationships. It's about how can you help me win. The Steelers, who had a very ugly breakup with Le'Veon Bell, who didn't play for them last year, inquired about getting him at the trade deadline.
How would you have felt about that, Jordan?
Yeah, that's a scenario I thought would
As
never.
a Steeler fan,
I don't know.
you seeing what he's doing with the Jets?
He's doing nothing with the Jets, and I hated the fact that
he's doing nothing. He's not really doing anything on the field with the Jets, but what he's doing for himself,
I think it's fake.
Off the field.
I think give it time.
I don't think it's fake. I think he was just truly in it.
I like the video that he posted. The video that he posted about and he tried to get everyone calm down. That video he posted on Twitter. I liked that, but I think it's just give it time, and he'll show.
But see, here's the thing, though. I think watching this, him and Antonio Brown, we've said it before on the show, they are two separate cases. Le'Veon Bell, I truly think, was in it because he's a running back. He does not have a long shelf life in the NFL. Was in it for the money, trying to get paid.
He wound up signing a deal for less money than the Steelers offered him.
Yep, so he bet on himself, and he lost on that one. Yeah. But I don't think it was anything with ill will maybe towards the Steelers. I think he was just looking out for himself. On the other hand, you have Antonio Brown, and that's the different case. But I do believe if I was the Steelers, I would probably welcome back Le'Veon Bell.
Some of the Steelers players didn't like what Bell did. He kind of cut communications off with them. He said he'd come back 1 week and then never answered them again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what? It is.
I don't know, but hey, it's what can you do how can you get me to win games? The Steelers don't. James Conner's injury prone. He was injured. The Steelers won this yesterday, but James Conner was hurt. Probably going to be hurt against the Rams if he even plays against the Rams this coming Sunday. Jalen Samuels had a good game, but is that your guy at running back? He's okay to have. Steelers need a running back, and they need help from Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph has looked okay. He hasn't looked bad. He's looked good at times. He looks capable, but they can use a solid running back to give the ball to. It reminds me of a situation on the Jets. They have a quarterback who's really struggling. Why not give the running back the ball that's really good at running the ball?
Well, they did. Well, yeah, the week against the Jaguars, I think he touched it 12 total times, which is an absolute joke.
He had 17 rushes for 66 yards. It's not a good
he had over 12 touches by halftime this game. So Le'Veon Bell went to Adam Gase and said I want to be more involved, and Gase listened and got him more involved. But this should have been done week 1.
You should realize, I know the offensive line's trash, and the team does not have a system like the Steelers do that he could fit well with. But it's Le'Veon Bell. It's hard. He is not having a good year, but there's a lot of things going against him. But you just keep feeding him. It's an all-pro running back. It's a start that you went out and spent the world on. He got 17 carries yesterday. He got 8 catches for 55 yards. He hasn't had a 100-yard rushing game. That's not really his fault. The offensive lines are just a disaster.
Yeah. So. And I'm not blaming injuries, but the injuries are real. But it's still no excuse to look this bad. It really it's.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can only use the injury crutch for so long. It's
yes, you can mention it. It's real, but when you lose to the Dolphins, it's you can't just take the injury thing to the bank. You got to win that game.
Yeah, and yes, it just really goes to show how bad of a situation the Jets are in. Because, yes, it looked like yesterday the Dolphins were doing a lot of things in their power to lose. That safety that they got after that interception on Darnold at the goal line was just embarrassing. Just embarrassing. They have to run the clock out. They're at their own inch-yard line. And Ryan Fitzpatrick just doesn't even he just dove not even a yard. And he wound up in his own end zone for a safety. And then
he dove, but then he kind of tucked the ball back into him, and he was right on top of the goal line.
Either run it, don't QB sneak that. You're the Dolphins. Run it, which is still risky, like a fullback dive, or pass it.
What's even more, it's just in that particular moment in the game, it was which team's trying to lose more?
Yeah, exactly.
The Jets It was unfortunate. The Jets got a touchdown taken away from them by the refs. They said that Griffin bobbled it, which I think he did. It really did look like the ball hit the ground. So whatever, that call can go either way. But it was frustrating. But then the next play, Darnold throws the interception. It did look like Darnold was trying to throw the ball away, but
I
it's
don't
just
care. He threw it right to the other team. I don't care. If
yeah,
he's
it's
throwing
just
it away.
bad. It's just bad. Like it's a bad mental mistake that you've been seeing from him for the last 3 games now, and that's not okay. So the Jets lose out on 7 points there. The Dolphins give them back 5 of the 7 points
in a matter of a minute on a safety.
in a matter of a
field goal.
minute before halftime,
Yeah.
or I think it was right before half. You give them the safety, and then they're able to get in field goal range and kick the field goal. So they got back 5 of the 7. If you're a Jets fan, you're honestly happy about that.
Yeah, you get
for
back
that
5 of the 7. And
like you got back 5 of the.
Like I
Go.
say all the time, bad teams do bad things, and bad teams lose games like that. The Dolphins are just lucky. The Jets are also a very bad team. Because if that's any other team but the Jets, the Dolphins lose that game. Mm-hmm. And I said it last week when the Dolphins played the Steelers. If the Steelers were playing any other team but the Dolphins, the Steelers might not win that game.
The game was basically who wanted to lose.
It was
just going back and forth. No one wanted to win. It's just
It was just one mistake at Darnold's interception. The safety for the Dolphins. The Dolphins let the Jets get a field goal at the end of the half. The safety on the Jets half when they snapped it right over Darnold's head.
Didn't the Jets have a 78-yard kick return?
Yeah.
And the Jets couldn't walk away with any points?
I think that was the drive Darnold threw the pick.
That was that drive. That was that drive.
Yeah.
Vincent Smith had the kick return, which kept them in the red zone, and then they scored, got overturned, Darnold threw the pick, and then it was the 5 points given back.
See, that's the thing. The Jets and a lot of teams in the NFL need to understand, put points up on the board. Put points up on the board because you see how much they matter.
In that particular situation, they did. It was just it was a questionable call that could have went either way, which was very unfortunate. But
it
is what it is. You gotta be able to answer. You got to be able to answer. Like the refs are gonna screw you over a lot. You got to be able to answer and get another touchdown regardless.
But how did they put points up on the board, Ringo, if he threw an interception?
That's what I'm saying. But the play before that, they scored a touchdown. It just got overturned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying,
I thought
but
at first glance that wasn't going to be overturned. I thought it was a catch. But hey,
I'm also in agreement with you.
It's a fumble.
I'm also in agreement with you. Yeah, adversity happens. The refs do screw teams over all the time. You got to be able to put the ball back in the end zone.
Yeah, I was going to say, the refs do put everything under a microscope now, and they do put a lot of pressure on teams, and some teams can overcome the adversity, some teams can't. Giants last week, running into the kicker, as I put air quotes around that.
Oh yeah, when he tapped the guy's calf with his wrist.
At the end of the half, Lions still get to keep the ball. Then they put points up on the board at the end of the half instead of the Giants trying to put up more points. And that's the Giants. If they could have stopped the Lions right then and there, and then no points up for them at the end of the half, hey, you live with it. But they couldn't get the job done after that adversity. And the Giants are a bad team. Jets are a bad team. You don't hear a lot of complaining from the refs or complaining about the refs from these great teams. You hear, here and there, but it's not like they lost them many games.
Yeah, quickly before we go on to the Giants, because the Giants got a Monday night game against Dallas tonight. I just quickly back on Gase. This is the second week in a row that the Jets open the game driving down the other team's throat and scoring, and then they just go non-existent for the rest of the game.
Yep.
Well, that's
is it because the other team's making adjustments immediately that he can't readjust to, or is their game plan not efficient enough to sustain more than a quarter?
It does look like Adam Gase cannot make one adjustment to save his life throughout the course.
Not only that, but everyone says it. You hear it every broadcast you watch, no matter what game you watch. The first drive for offense, they're putting out their best plays to see what happens. So Adam Gase's best plays, I guess, the 3 or 4 of them that he has, work for the drive.
And then they adjust to it.
So that's what happens. You have your basic play sheet for the first drive on how you expect it to go. Adam Gase, I guess, has a good first drive.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago they had really good opening drives, and then they just went back to sleep.
Can we hit the copy and paste button on that first drive play sheet?
Could you see? He just does 4 verticals every play.
Yeah. Like we have a tight end up the middle, like in Madden.
But here's the thing. I just don't understand. how the Jets, right? You see, okay, this is working. Maybe you tinker it a little bit because the defense is going to, hey, I see what you're doing, Adam Gase. Let's just switch this up a bit. Have a little bit of an understanding of what coaching is instead of just looking at the paper and calling the play. Understand the game feel. Adam Gase has no understanding of what's going on inside the white lines. Nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I noticed this. Yes, I was thinking to myself, like, what happens after that first drive? Is the other team like adapt to the offense that quickly, and he has no answer for it? Is his game plan only sustainable for a quarter, and then it kind of falls apart?
It's not even a quarter. Sustainable for one drive.
Yeah, but this is
They
like.
go.
Yeah, but
I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
They
Well,
look.
it's hard
I
to-
know.
it's
I
hard
know.
to.
I'm being a little. I'm like being that way too, like just for fun. But like they drive down the field, they score, and then they literally go back to the Luke Falk playbook. Like it looks like Luke Falk.
Yeah, but see, this is like saying when there's a 2-minute drive at the end of the half or at the end of the game, and the offense somehow they just seemingly move the ball so much better, and they're always able to get into field goal position or put points up on the board. Yeah, that's great. Every friend wants them to have that 2-minute drive, but for the full 4 quarters, and that's just not how it works. The defense is.
I completely understand that's not going to happen the entire game, but when it's in the minority, that's when it's not good.
Well, I don't know.
No, this
But-
team, offense and defense, is just. Because the highlights are on repeat. I'm watching.
This game defensively was their worst
Disaster.
game of the season.
This guy's wide open. People are missing assignments. The coverages
Yeah.
are awful. I'm watching.
This was a very bad
And Greg
and
Williams, which I
it
don't get the hype around, mainly maybe because he had a good interim run. But like defensive coordinator wise, the Browns' defense is one of the worst in the league last year. Now the Jets are one of the worst in the league. No, they are the worst in the league. Actually, the Jets this year.
No, they 100% are.
Yeah,
They
and
have
last
no
year,
pass
he had a
rush
good
and no
run as the
corner.
Interim coach with the Browns, but defensive wise, their defensive ranks, the Browns were a disaster last year.
Well,
They were bottom of the pack.
Speaking of defenses, you look at the worst here with the Jets, then you look at the best with the Patriots by far. And then we talk about the 2018 quarterback class, Sam Darnold. Lamar Jackson looks like the best quarterback from that class easily. It's not even close.
Yes.
But that's right now, obviously. But what he did to that Patriots defense.
Does he look like the best quarterback, or does
What'd you say?
What was that? You went in and out.
he look like the best quarterback, or does he look like the best athlete?
He looks like the best
I think he might get
quarterback
figured
in
out.
position to win you a game.
I think he might get figured out.
He might.
He's gonna have
Yeah.
to start making passes.
No. I'm not defending the other quarterbacks at all. I'm just saying that like right now, but we
Well,
Ringo,
get hurt.
Ringo's getting poor connection right now. Ringo, you just went in and out. We really couldn't hear you. Are you still with
That's
us?
I'm here. I'm
All
here.
right.
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
we're
sorry.
hearing you there.
All right, but anyway, sorry, but we're gonna go. We're moving on to the Giants here. We have no idea what you just said.
We're just talking
Could've
about
said
Lamar
something
Jackson.
earth-shattering. All right,
Yeah,
on to the
you could have just dropped
Giants.
the biggest news ever, and we just completely breezed over.
I was talking about Lamar Jackson and just he can go the RG3 route.
He could. He very well could. Or, he could go the Michael Vick route.
All right, so now we move into the Giant game tonight. The Giants are home against the Cowboys. Cowboys are coming off the bye. Before that, they had a great home win against the Eagles. They just trounced them. Giants are 2-6. Kind of just you just hoping Daniel Jones is going to look competent. All right,
And
he had a
he
better
has.
start against Detroit last week.
What has he had now? Let's say he's had, 5 and a quarter games this season. And I'd say maybe 3 of them he's looked solid in. So we need to see that number grow. We need to see him progress and develop. But
Would you say Dak Prescott's having a good year?
the beginning, he was very solid, very good. Faltered a little bit.
QB comparison, it's not that much different between right now Daniel Jones and Dak Prescott. The completion percentage is better in Prescott. He's 70%. Daniel Jones is 62. The passing yards is Prescott 303 a game to Daniel Jones 241. But then it kind of gets similar. 12 touchdowns to 10 in favor of Prescott. The same amount of interceptions, 7, and then 2 rushing touchdowns for Jones and 3 for Prescott.
So now, here's the thing.
Prescott has the better numbers, but
Well,
Daniel Jones
but
is
what I'm
better
interested in is how many pass attempts.
Yes,
because the games are going to be different. So,
and he's played more games than Daniel Jones. Yes, he has.
Well, yeah, but Prescott also had the bye, but
that's why
Daniel Jones didn't start off as the starter.
The first 2 games.
So the pass attempts would be interesting to see.
Fumbles, but Daniel Jones, you're just again, Giant fans. You're not expecting Patrick Mahomes to walk out there for the rest of the season. You just want a capable quarterback. Like right now with the Steelers, with Mason Rudolph, I just look for a capable quarterback that can keep you in the game.
That's a little bit. No, that's 2 different situations. That's a little bit different.
That's a little different.
Mason Rudolph wasn't drafted. Well,
Mason Rudolph wasn't
drafted 6th.
What we're both looking for in our quarterback play right now.
No, I'm looking for a quarterback who can be our quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years.
So am I right now. Mason Rudolph right now is the hope to be your next future quarterback. Right now he looks pretty good. He looks great. He looks pretty good.
So if you're looking for that too, all right. But now here's where we falter a little bit. Drafted 6th.
Yes, and he was a third-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you want Daniel Jones, the very controversial 6th overall pick from this past draft that everybody criticized, you look for him to be capable. You just don't look for a disaster. Like I said, you're not expecting him to go out and be Patrick Mahomes for the rest of the year. You just don't hope he looks like Sam Darnold right now, who is scaring you with the mental mistakes week by week here.
So I'm just going to quickly touch this. Obviously, as a Giant fan, it just cracks me up. Do I look at it and say, oh, yeah, no, because I know as a Giant fan, Daniel Jones could turn quickly into nothing or quickly into something good. Well, let's just hope it's the something good part. But there's the tweet that we've talked about on the show before with the Jets, and they say, thank you, Giants, because they got Sam Darnold and we took Saquon Barkley. Now can we imagine if we got Saquon Barkley, a generational talent at running back, but we also have Daniel Jones, who is a solid quarterback that could possibly be better than most quarterbacks in the 2018 class. That would be a nice matchup to have in that backfield. But still yet to be seen. But I just find it funny, the Jets tweet, oh, thanks, Giants. That still just irritates me. Thanks, Giants. It just does. It just does.
Well, at the time, it still
wasn't worth tweeting.
Yeah, the Jets never should have tweeted that.
It's a tweet.
Who cares?
Oh no, I'm not.
They didn't just get Tom Brady walking onto that field, a surefire thing.
I had a problem with that. Yeah, I had a problem with that tweet.
No, I'm not defending the Jets for actually tweeting it, but just it was still a questionable draft. It was still a questionable pick of the Giants at the time.
Hey, but the Giants can work out. The Giants can luck out here. They got Saquon Barkley, and hey, Daniel Jones can work out.
100%. No, they could 100%.
And the Giants the Giants right now don't look as bad as that they once were viewed when they passed up on Darnold, Allen, and Rosen.
Mm-hmm. But now, see, here's the thing I also look at. I think going into next season, as you look forward, the Giants' offense has a good amount of pieces, good amount of weapons, and I don't think the Giants' offense, besides developing Daniel Jones, is what fans should be looking at. From this season, from the games we've been watching, the concern going forward and going into next season is that defense. What is going to happen with that defense?
It's the whole team.
But it is the whole team. Yes, all facets aren't the best, but their weakest part is the
defense. Two people on offense that have like a spot.
You have Saquon Barkley, Evan Ingram, and then you have a solid wide receiver, the best run after catch, yards after catch receiver in Golden Tate in the last few years, who is a solid wide receiver. Why they got him is a question, but he's still a good part of the offense. And then you have, if he's healthy, Sterling Shepard. That is.
But is Golden Tate going to be?
So, I don't know what Ringo is saying, but I'm going to guess he said, yes, Tom, you are right. You're 100% right. The Giants' offense is not the weakest part of that team, and they look decent going forward into next offseason.
Right now on our Skype, we apologize, is not the best right now. Ringo's kind of going in.
Can you hear me right now?
We can hear you, but like when you were talking after Tom, we got nothing. We got you like.
So I just finished your sentence for you. So
I agree with you, Tom, that the defense is the weakest part of the team, but the offense still has a lot of holes to fill. Is Golden Tate going to be on this team in 3 to 4 years if the Giants build a competitive team? I don't think so. You don't know that.
We're not building. We're not going to build this team in the sense there's win now teams who you want just players for the 1 to 2, 3 seasons maybe.
You build them in 3 years.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, yes, you could build, but then because you go out, you could maybe sign a free agent for a 1 to 2 year contract because you think they'll help you win right now. The Giants aren't going to do that. So Ringo's saying Golden Tate, is he going to be able to be there for when the Giants are competitive in the 3 years or so? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not, probably not. But I'm saying going into next season, you don't need to worry about that wide receiver spot to fill because you have Golden Tate there. Going into next season, you don't have to worry about the tight end spot.
I have to worry about a wide receiver spot because Sterling Shepard might not play again.
Yeah, he back in the concussion protocol out tonight against
but that's exactly what I'm saying. You have to worry about that because that's just going to be another hole to fill that year. Let's say they rebuild the defense. Let's say they rebuild areas throughout the next couple of years. Now that year hits where you're competitive, now you got no wide had to retire, and Golden Tate is too old to play.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
it's another hole to fill.
That's when we trade for Odell Beckham Jr., the wide receiver. That's pretty.
Get him back.
Yeah, he's a pretty solid wide receiver from the Cleveland Browns, who obviously is having his worst season in the NFL. I don't know why that is, but yeah. So
I know what. Now that you mention ODB, it brings the question. I saw a debate. First Take was talking about it. Like, is Odell's season a disappointment? Right now, it is a disappointing season. And then, some of them were saying, it's not his fault, it's Baker's fault. It's like Baker's not doing a good job, which they're right. Baker is not doing a good job.
He's struggling.
But Odell put up better numbers with Eli, who was getting ripped apart in the media. He's not mobile. He's not as good anymore. He's missing. Yeah,
he didn't have an offensive line.
And he didn't have an offensive line. They used those two reasons for why Odell's having a bad year this year. Is that what they said? They said offensive line of the Browns is bad and the quarterback's bad. It's the same situation as in when he was in the Giants, and he did amazing. It's him this year.
So it's also Baker.
Yes, it is also Baker
because
but
Baker
it's also
is a younger quarterback.
It's also Odell.
Eli knew what he was working with in the sense of he had to get it out quick. He could not wait and throw the ball deep. He hit Odell
Eli
on
was
those
a disaster
slants
towards the end.
But what I would have liked to seen is Odell with Daniel Jones and see how that would work. In the sense of, if you knew you were going to go with Daniel Jones and go forward with it, maybe hold on to Odell. Maybe see how that chemistry works, how that wide receiver quarterback tandem happened.
Odell.
What?
Oh.
What, Ringo?
I said the Giants had to trade Odell Beckham.
They didn't have to do anything. I don't think they had to trade him.
I forget whether they drafted Daniel Jones or traded Odell Beckham first. I forget which was which. I think they traded Odell Beckham first.
Yeah, they traded Odell first. So yeah. Well, we're just gonna keep moving on. I'm gonna guess Ringo said yes. Giants made the wrong
Giants.
move.
Yeah, Giants going to Dallas tonight. I'm not going to Dallas. They're home against Dallas tonight. I guess it's safe to say Dallas will take this one. Dallas.
I don't know what you're talking about. Give me the numbers. What's the spread?
They are Dallas is coming off the bye. The bye week is tough for people.
The bye week is either tough for people or it's wonderful for people because they have more time to prepare.
You just gave the other only two. Yeah, but it's the same thing with teams that win early in a playoff series and they get a big rest, and the team that comes off quick, it can go either way.
And what's a big part of that? Coaching. Does coaching keep everyone on their toes and keep everyone prepared?
Had a huge rest last year with Barry Trotz and got swept. And he's a good coach.
So I think it plays into it. But what is the Giants' spread against the Cowboys? What are we looking at here, Jordan?
Tom can't use the ESPN app.
So. Yeah, I don't know why, but
it is.
I think it's -6.5.
Yes, you're right.
I don't know. I might. Yeah.
I'm just happy I was heard.
I was gonna say no comment then. No comment there. Then I'm not gonna talk about that game because I'm not too sure if I would bet in the Giants' favor on this one. But
wait, Tom, you're not going to bet the Giants?
No, I'm not betting anything, but I'm just saying I'd probably pass on this game if you know what I'm saying. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, if you're bagging what I'm raking.
You mean you're going to pass on the game like you would bet on it. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Pretty self-explanatory, but if you understand what I'm saying here. But before we get off the Giants, Slayton, the wide receiver, rookie, is looking very solid. He only had a couple catches last week. But he had 2 touchdowns on 2 solid catches that were over people and contested. Then
only
obviously
one game he's had?
He's played here and there throughout the season and come up from practice squads and things like that. But he looks like he could be a serviceable wide receiver and a solid wide receiver for us, especially
Randy Moss.
Oh man, that would be wonderful. We get Slayton. If he turns into Randy Moss, we get Slayton. We get Barkley. We get Daniel Jones. Yeah. Oh, what a time
Ben Brown and Roethlisberger all over again.
Don't forget,
it's amazing.
Boswell.
One off season and that's all gone in Pittsburgh.
Man.
Yeah, Ben's injured.
But now look, Mike Tomlin has coached himself into
another year. With the Steelers, though, Tomlin's probably coached himself into another year. I don't know. It could be too early to say, but they extended him, so I think they really need like an absolute disaster, for him to be gone. The Steelers, what they need to do, get a new offensive coordinator, get a new defensive coordinator. I can't take this anymore.
Just get a whole new coaching staff.
Mainly defensive coordinator. But you need a new offensive coordinator. Because you got Mason Rudolph, and I don't think what the guy they have now is gonna help right now. And the defensive coordinator, I've been seeing it for years. I can't take every game at least 5 times a game. There's a busted coverage or no, everyone's wide open. I can't take it anymore. It's ridiculous.
Yep. Now, before we get into hockey and everything else and Nick's struggle, we're just gonna say Nick's not looking good. It looks like they can compete here and there where they want to compete.
You want to do the Knicks right now.
No, I'm just going to say it looks like if the Knicks, coming into the season, not many people thought they were going to be anything. They thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league, and that's what they're looking like.
So
but
a lot of fans thinking 8 seed this year.
See, you had a lot of fans thinking that, and then you had a lot of fans thinking, oh, they're one of the worst teams in the league. They do compete, but they just can't close things out.
He's not good enough yet.
They're not.
They're not good.
And
yet.
David Fizdale, I love him as a coach. I want to see him succeed with this team. I want to see him continue with this team. But he needs to get his lineups and get his lineups quick. He has to stop. Oh, this game, we're going to switch it up this game. Let's see if we insert Bobby Portis. Let's see how that goes. You know what, this game, let's see if we throw Mitchell Robinson. Yeah, let's throw him at the 4, maybe the 5. Let's just get something and run with it until we know for a fact it doesn't work. You switching, going back every 2 to 3 games, switching the lineup, putting Frank Ntilikina in there. Now we're going to take him out. Now we're going to insert Mitchell Robinson at the 5. Nope. Now let's go with Marcus Morris. Stop.
That's a good point. You don't want
just
to keep,
stop.
Especially a young group, you don't want to keep just throwing names around.
I understand he wants to figure out what works, but it's not going to happen with a 1 to 2 game stretch. Give your young guys, your core group, David Fizdale, you've been around basketball enough. I trust you to know a good player from a bad player and a progressing player and a developing player from somebody who is at a standstill and just doesn't have it. I trust you. Play the young core and let them develop and ride it out. He's trying to be a scientist and put all these, whatever you want to call it, together, all these different pieces together, and see what fits in too short of a time.
I can understand doing that in like a practice setting, but to transfer that to the game and just experiment that way.
So, but we'll
Can't
see.
do that.
How has R.J. Barrett looked?
Best player on the team.
He is?
Best player on the team.
It's not really saying much, but
it's not. But it looks like
it's a good sign, though. At least it's not like Frank Ntilikina right now.
I don't know why all the Knicks fans just love them.
I can see it. Yeah,
I was gonna say
my brother doesn't like him. I know you and Nick don't like him. But
I just find it funny watching Nick and other Nick fans just talk about him. Nick has a hatred for him. Every other Nick fan loves him, and Nick just doesn't understand it, and he's confused by it, as you should be.
My brother hates him too, Ntilikina. Because everyone talks about his defense, but yet he doesn't score. Like, I'm not even a big basketball fan. I looked at his numbers. He's career averaging like 5 points and 2 assists. That's not a starting player in basketball.
That's not a player in basketball. But so we talked about the Knicks here for a little bit, and they are struggling. Only 1 win on the season. Do I think they can pick up a few more wins quickly? Yes, I think they have the squad together, the coaching, and the fight in them to actually win some games. They just have to go out and do it. They just got to get over the hump. So we'll see. But all the players are still behind Coach Fizdale. So
you can't pull the trigger on him.
No, and I don't want to. I think he's a great coach. Let's just see if he can get his lineup together, which understandably is a hard thing to do when you have 10 to 12 guys who are all in the same category, and you're not too sure where to fit them in. I understand that.
That's not a good thing.
No, it's not.
10 guy be in the same category as your 4 guy.
It's not. No, it's not a good thing at all, and that's why I understand he's trying to figure out the best lineup. But give some people some time to develop with each other, and grow some chemistry, do something with each other.
I agree with that.
So it's not like he was tossed into a Laker squad where you have these just solid all-stars from top to bottom, and he could just put out that lineup he knows is going to win. So he's trying to figure it out. He just needs to figure it out a little bit quicker. So
there's our Knicks report. We don't really usually talk basketball, but Tom's our big Knick guy here.
We have to.
Yeah,
now, going from Knicks coaching, we're going to go to Mets clubhouse. So we were talking. Was it going to be Buck Showalter, Joe Girardi before he went to the Phillies?
Yes, the Mets.
Was it going to be Eduardo Perez?
Mets wind up going Carlos Beltran, a name that Tom dropped very early in the manager search. Tom mentioned Carlos Beltran.
This was for selfish reasons.
Girardi goes to Philly. Looks like Buck Showalter is not going to get a job, maybe like a bench coach role. But the Mets go with Carlos Beltran, and you can't really criticize the move. It's just not Joe Girardi, which was the favorite. But then Carlos Beltran's like, all right, okay.
I was going to say, he has the baseball IQ. Yeah. You know this for a fact. And what I didn't know.
Why do we know that?
Why do we know? Let's see. He's been around the game for, I don't know how old he is. I'm going to say over 30 years of his life he's been around the game. I'm going to say he's played at the highest level for
30 years. Isn't he in his 40s?
Now, I'm not saying been around MLB.
Okay.
I'm saying just baseball.
I played baseball when I was a teenager.
But you haven't.
I'm sure a lot.
You've been around it for 2 to 3 years then, as a teenager. You haven't been around it for 18 years then.
His IQ was really good when he was a teenager.
All right, Tom. I'm not saying that Beltran's going to be a bad manager, but to me, this is very similar to the Adam Gase hire. All right, we have you. You're unproven. I don't know how you're going to do. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, no, not going with that. That's not how.
It's a little different since Gase had a losing coaching history. Beltran has nothing.
Okay. It's not identical. Yeah. I don't know you don't know what Beltran's gonna be. I don't know how you can have confidence.
See, here's I don't have confidence. I think it's really you can't really rip it right now.
No, you can't rip it. You can't.
I'm not ripping it, but I'm not getting excited over it either.
And you also can't be like, "Oh my God, such a great hire." You could be excited. I'm excited for it. But I'm also excited for it because of him being a former Met and seeing what he could do. And
he literally just had his press conference today.
What'd you say?
He literally just had his press conference today. And hold on.
But what I'm also excited about is it was coming out that, you know who his bench coach choice would be?
Oh, Terry Collins.
Yeah, Terry Collins.
Terry Collins. Oh, goodness gracious.
So put it this way. He just had his press conference today, introductory, and he got asked a question on any issues between the Mets and himself, and he has to answer these questions. He goes, "I would not be standing here if everything wasn't clear in the organization. You can't progress in life if you think in the past." But just the fact that we hire a manager and we got the New York media asking him, "Are you okay with the Mets? Do you still have these issues?"
Yeah, why wouldn't the media ask their New York media? What are you expecting, Ray? Are you expecting them?
I'm not
those questions.
I'm not saying from the media perspective. I'm just saying from the team perspective, or from a fan perspective. I gotta see a manager get hired that we once had potential issue. Well, not potential. We've had issues with as a player.
In the past, fired Billy Martin 85 times.
Okay, so what do you think? They hired Carlos Beltran, and Carlos Beltran's just a Trojan horse, and he's going to come in here and try to make them go 0-162? They've had issues.
That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying he's going to try to fail. I'm just saying I'm just saying I don't have as much confidence in Beltran that you have. Yes, I'm hoping he does good, and I think he has a shot to be a good manager, but he's a complete unknown. And that's not what this team needs right now.
Yeah, my same thing with the Jets. I think they should have hired a proven head coach. It's the same thing I said with the Mets. They needed to hire a proven manager who has a good track history.
He hasn't even been a coach on a roster. So he was an advisor for the Yankees. At least Mickey Callaway was a pitching coach or something like that. They just hired a guy off the street.
Hey, the Dave Roberts and Alex Cora were in similar situations, and that worked out. Aaron Boone, same thing. But
I'm not
those
saying
situations
I'm
work out
not.
because you got the Red Sox, Yankees, and Dodgers organizations who are very good organizations. Now you got the Mets doing the same thing, going with an unproven former player, but it's the Mets.
So
Exactly.
It's gonna be,
I'm not saying that it's. I'm not saying that I'm 100% against it and it's 100% gonna fail. It can very well work in our favor, and I will be ecstatic for it. But it's just not the hire that I would have liked. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, there's good reason to be hesitant about the hire. Sure, understandable. And are you 100% right with you saying, I'm not sure if it's going to be great because he's just unproven? Yes, understandable. But it seems like you're not writing him off, but it seems like you're picking up the pen. You're picking up the pen just because he doesn't have a track record. Let's see how it goes.
I would be hesitant if I was a.
I'm just skeptical. That's all. It's going to be.
There's no really big problem with it. Like you can't really criticize it. Like I criticize the Gase hiring but this one's just kind of like.
So here's the thing, though.
The bottom line, the Mets needed a manager with experience.
Well, now that's why I'm going to say my next statement, and I don't know if Ringo's going to like this, but that's why I do believe the bench role with Terry Collins is very important. To have Terry Collins on your bench and be able to talk to you and give you his experience firsthand, I think that's crucial.
Yes, but even that has a negative.
Managing.
As much as that's a positive thing to have, it's also a negative because he got fired here too. He wasn't awful, and it just been his time, but eventually it didn't work out with him either. So why bring him back
there? But just because it didn't work out at that specific moment in time doesn't mean that they weren't a solid coach, solid player. Whatever didn't work out doesn't mean
you didn't see the Jets bring back Rex Ryan as a defensive coordinator.
But see, now here's the thing. Did it not work out because Rex Ryan and the Jets? Did it not work out because at that moment Rex Ryan didn't have the pieces? Did it not work? There's many things to go. Terry Collins did not have a good team for a long time. That doesn't mean that Terry Collins wasn't a good manager. Was he a good manager? Maybe.
I'm not
maybe
bashing Terry Collins. I'm not saying Terry Collins was an awful manager.
He had at that moment.
I'm not bashing Terry Collins. I'm not saying he's an awful manager. I'm just saying, you're the Mets. Why bring in anything from the past? Like we should be looking to. We have a great young core right now. It's a team that can be built on, and possibly we have a great pitching staff. Obviously, we need a lot of bullpen help. So we should be looking to just like change things up, like indefinitely. We should be looking to make completely different moves, something that we haven't done in the past. And this is having Beltran and Terry Collins as your manager and bench coach.
Why bring people back from the past when we're trying to look forward? You also have to go into it with an open mind and understand if those are the best options out of everybody, including people not formerly with the Mets, going forward. If those are the two best people or the best person for the job, you go with him. You don't just say, nope, write them off because they had a pass with the team. If they're going to lead you where you need to be in the future, doesn't mean that you hold on to the past.
Yeah, no, if they lead you where you need to be, then that's great. But
yes,
you don't
know that. But if you go through all the interviews, you're not going to write off Carlos Beltran because, hey, he used to be a former Met, and we don't want to go back into the past.
That's
we don't
not
want to
what
look
I'm
back
saying.
at history. We need to go forward.
That's
so
not what I'm saying.
Nobody looks at it that way.
Well, that's what Ringo's saying. Ringo's saying, why hire people from the past?
That's not what I'm saying at all.
You literally said, why look back to history? Why hire people from the past? We don't need to hire people from the past. We need to look forward. Those were your words.
Yes, but I'm saying that I didn't like the way we handled, from what I read through Twitter and whatever the beat writers telling us about the Joe Girardi hires. I have to see that Joe Girardi's getting his second and third interviews, and we're letting it known that like whoever's going to be this manager is just going to be the puppet of Brody and the front office, which is not the way you sell the job. So that's what Beltran is to the Mets. He's their puppet. No, that's why Joe Girardi didn't come here. We should have handed Joe Girardi a blank check.
Joe Girardi not on the Yankees anymore.
What?
That's why he's not on the Yankees anymore.
Joe Girardi goes rogue. He's a wild card.
Exactly. We should have handed Joe Girardi a blank check. Here you go. You make all the lineup. I think he's got enough credibility to make his own lineup decisions. I don't think we need to hire Joe Girardi and then tell him what lineup to put out there.
Yeah, obviously,
That's,
Joe Girardi would have been. I said it before. Is my number one choice, and would have been my number one choice.
There would have been a lot of conflict because that's not how Girardi operates. Girardi's tough on the players. He can run his own team, and that's why he's not on the Yankees anymore.
And that's exactly why Girardi is not on the Mets right now, because of this Mets organization.
Yeah. So, but no, do I believe that Joe Girardi would have been my number one choice? Absolutely. But I'm not.
I understand, but I'm telling you why he's not on the Mets right now, and that's because of this organization.
And I'm hoping Brody learned a little bit from this year and learned that you can't have such a tight hold onto this team as a GM. You need to have people you trust.
Well, he didn't learn anything because he didn't learn anything of that because he let that affect what manager he was going to hire. So how could you say that you hope he learned, which he didn't, because he just got put on his plate that he needs to make another move, and he's still going about it with the same mentality?
This move could work. It worked with the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Red Sox with an unknown former player as a manager because of great leadership and organizational structure. Unfortunately, that's not what the Mets have. So that's where the cause of concern starts with me. Mm-hmm. There's no organizational structure. There's no leadership. Mm-hmm. It's a gong show, and Brody's going to try to put his hands on everything. It's Brody's team.
Yeah. Exactly. Beltran is just the Mets puppet.
So that's why I think this could.
That's my concern.
Go astray. Mm-hmm. That's my concern with it. But Beltran's just okay. All right. It's not like Gase. It's not like Gase with the bad losing history, and it's like, oh God, I don't really like this deal. I don't really like this.
Yeah, they're not identical. When I compared them, it's not identical. I just compared them in the fact that they have a lot to prove.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So, but before we get into the hottest team in New York, just quickly touch this. We were talking baseball. We didn't get to talk about it Friday. Astros, Nationals, World Series. Went to Game 7. The rest is history. Nationals win their first World Series. Sadly, Astros couldn't win it.
Yeah, Capitals win in 2018. Washington Nationals win in 2019. Good for the city of Washington. Who'd have thought the Nationals, who were like 12 under 500 in June, won the World Series? Great pitching. And
one error in right field. One error in right field in the wild card game.
Right field by the Brewers right fielder led to a nonstop train ride.
And this team ran through every other team.
I know.
I'm just so I just to think about that. I could the Brewers just would have knocked him out right away. Yeah. Oh boy. What would have been?
Be at right now.
Astros World Series champion.
Yeah. But quickly, we really haven't talked hockey. I mentioned at the beginning of the show that there's a New York team that's on a 9-game win streak. We haven't really talked about hockey on the show, but you got to talk about it. We are in November. It's still November 4th. It's still early in the year. But who would have thought the Islanders start off the season 1-3. Did I go into this season thinking much? I didn't think much of this season. I thought they needed some more moves. I still think they could use another asset at the deadline when we get to there. But they start off 1-3. It's kind of like, okay. And then the Islanders then proceed to rip off 9 in a row, and now they're 10-3, one of the best teams in the league right now, second in the division. The Capitals are just playing that much better. But the Islanders are 10-3, 9-game win streak. Unbelievable. Even with injuries plaguing the team. Komarov's hurt. Eberle's hurt. But Eberle was skating today. Komarov was sick. You got a bunch of guys from the AHL coming in and stepping up. It's unreal what this team is doing. And if you take this team with any other Islander coach from the past 25 years, do they do this? Absolutely not. Like we just said with the Mets, you need organizational structure and leadership. That is something the Islanders have addressed and changed in the past couple of years, is organizational structure and leadership. You got Charles Wang out of there. Garth Snow's out of there. The Capuanos and the Doug Waits of the world got out of there. And you bring in guys with past success, with consistent success, and with a great resume. You bring in Barry Trotz behind the bench. You bring in Lou Lamoriello in the press box, and you bring in new ownership who've now brought you a new stadium, which is something Islander fans and the team have been looking for God knows how long. You put Trotz behind the bench. You put Lamorello in the press box, and this is the team you get. You get systematic, structural hockey. Everyone buys into the system. Everyone has a role. Everyone buys into the role. Everyone does their role, and that's how you get 9 wins in a row and a 10-3 start, and you're one of the best teams in the league. That's how you make the playoffs last year. Am I saying the Islanders are going to ride this and be the second best, the best team in the Eastern Conference? I don't know. Yeah, they're going to hit their slumps. Every team hits their slumps. It's still only November 5th.
Am I saying that? Yes, I am.
saying they're going to win the division. But no. Yeah, it's only November 5th, but is it great to see a 9-0, 9 win streak and 10-3 and some of the best hockey we've seen? This is 9 games and not where 9 games like, oh, they stole one. This is 9 games where the Islanders have outplayed the team every game. They have a home game against Tampa, who Tampa's struggling. But it's Tampa Bay, the President's Trophy winning, unstoppable Tampa Bay Lightning. They're home against them on this past Friday, and they win 5-2. Every game the Islanders have won, they've outplayed the other team. They just played a better game than every team. It's not like one game where it's like, oh, wow, can't believe we came out a win with that one. Maybe the second win of the streak against St. Louis. They were down 2-0 in the third. They scored 2 goals to tie late in an overtime winner. Yeah, I'll give you that one. But every game, it's amazing, this run they're on. They were 1-3. They were 1-1. Had an awful game against Edmonton at home. Going to Carolina, an awful game against Carolina. Now they're 1-3. And then Florida, St. Louis, Winnipeg, Columbus, Arizona, Ottawa, Philly, Tampa, Buffalo. 9 in a row. These games have been stretched out over a long period of time. The Islanders have had a long rest. So it's back to that thing. What's better, a long rest or going right into it and staying hot? Hey, they've had a long rest, and they've been able to stay hot for 9 straight games. So now they go in tomorrow night, home against Ottawa. Then they got home against Pittsburgh, home against the Panthers. That's 3 games in 5 nights. Then they get 3 days off, and they're home against Toronto. It's unreal what they're doing. It's just systematic hockey. They have a structure. They have leadership from top to bottom. Everyone knows their role and does a role. They're a defensively sound team. How long will that hold up? I don't know. But right now they're doing a very good job of doing it. I think if they do sustain this success into the trade deadline, where they are a competitive team like they are now, they should add another piece. They should. But it's good to see they're doing this right now without Jordan Eberle. The goalie situation, it's just one game. One game it's Varlamov, one game it's Greiss. One game it's Varlamov, one game it's Greiss. Back and forth, and these goalies are standing on their heads. The goalie numbers are just insane right now. I'll pull them up quick, what Varlamov and Greiss are doing. Varlamov got his first shutout as an Islander yesterday. Yeah, not yesterday, 2 days ago. Goalies. Goals against averages, Varlamov's a 2.14 and Greiss a 2.15. Save percentage, Greiss is at .933, Varlamov's at .929. And shutouts, Varlamov just got the recent shutout and a 1-0 win over Buffalo. In Buffalo, and Buffalo's playing good hockey. It's a defensive sound team. Everyone knows their role. It's unreal what they're doing. You got to give the Islanders credit. Nothing much more to say. Ringo, you got anything before we go off air here?
And like you said, going into the trade deadline and whatnot, if this team can keep this up, that would be more attractive for free agents who they potentially sure if it's a rental or whatnot.
I lost you at the end of that one. But
oh, God.
More attractive for free agents if it's a rental or whatnot.
Yeah, rental or whatnot. But and back to the stadium thing. We're finally getting a new stadium, and that was a main problem with luring in free agents. There's been many times where free agents from other teams or teams that guys that were on the Islanders that they couldn't re-sign didn't want to play because either, one, they didn't know where they'd be playing in X amount of years, or two, they didn't like the arena they were playing in. So they got Belmont coming in 2 years. They got a really good team right now with good structure, something we've emphasized when we talk about the Mets and the Jets. It starts up top. The Jets don't have that right now. The Mets don't have that right now. And the Islanders didn't have it for years. And right now, who would have thought the Islanders would be the New York team that got it? Not the Giants.
I know.
The Mets, the Yankees are the Yankees.
I'm just happy at least one of my teams have it.
The Yankees are the Yankees.
It's
The Yankees are in a
unbelievable.
league of their own right now.
See, but here's the thing. I will be out of all the New York teams, out of all the New York teams, the one I will be most surprised if, and hopefully when they get it, would be the Knicks.
The Knicks?
Yeah, the Knicks.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
If the Knicks ever have leadership and an organization for an office that actually knows and has control of what is going on, I will be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a great day in New York.
The Islanders running a hot streak right now, going home against Ottawa, who they beat during this 9-game stretch, 4-2 in Ottawa. It's unreal what they're doing. It's literally the same structure they're doing last year: defense, 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 and they're hitting it home. Matt Barzal's looking like an absolute stud. You gotta love it. He has 11 points in 13 games. He started that 1-3 start. He didn't really do much. Neither did the team. They were 1-3, and then ever since then, him and the team have just been on an upward climb. Upward climb. Yeah, he's been unreal. That line of him, Anders Lee, and I think Josh Bailey right now, because Eberle's hurt, has been playing very well. They had a great goal against Tampa. It was like tic-tac-toe, bam, in the back of the net. Anders Lee to Barzal to Bailey. Bailey one-timed it in. Matt Barzal's looking like an absolute stud right now. It's amazing that it's great. It's amazing that they developed this guy. And the Islanders have done a good job developing players. You got to give them credit. Barzal's definitely one of them. The defense, Scott Mayfield, who would have thought would be a key piece. Adam Pelech, who would have thought would be a key piece. And Devon Taves. This guy was like a late round pick out of college who they developed. You've got to give Garth Snow one thing. He did develop. He did get Devon Taves. He developed in the minors, and now he's a top 4 defenseman on this team, a top power play guy on this team. They developed that defense nicely. And then you got pieces like Leddy and Boychuk and now Dobson, who's just waiting to hit that next step. Defense looking good. It is November 4th. I do keep emphasizing that. 5th. It is 4th right now, November 4th. I do keep emphasizing that. I don't want to get too carried away with myself. But you got to look.
We can't have a Mets 11-1 to start the season and get excited for it.
Yeah, you can't have that. But a little difference is there. The Mets didn't.
No.
I'm
not.
No. I know. I'm not calling you out. I'm just making a comparison.
Yeah, it's not a direct comparison.
No, I'm not. Yeah, but the Mets, when they go on their runs, they haven't shown that they can sustain this. They haven't shown consistency.
Exactly.
The Islanders showed last year. They ran with the same team, the same coaching staff, the same organization, same team, the same system. They ran with it, and they were doing it right now. So that's why you have that much more confidence that they might be able to sustain it.
I agree with you 100%.
All right. Well, Ringo, you keep going in and out. I did hear you agreed with me, but we'll call it for today because the connection is kind of suspect today. That will do it for today's show. We'll be back Friday for another Impractical Talker Sports Show. We'll see how the Giants do tonight. We'll see if the Islanders still have their win streak alive by Friday. They'll have the Ottawa tomorrow night, and Thursday night they'll be home against Pittsburgh. But that will do it for the IT Sports Show on this Monday. Jordan here, as always, Ringo on the Skype. Tom to my right. Tom,
you want a stat? I'll give you a stat.
Go.
So unless this has changed in the last game or so for Larry Fitzgerald, he has more NFL career tackles.
We
at
did
37.
We've done this stat.
No, we have not.
Then what's the finish?
Yes, we have.
No.
Yes,
I showed Jordan this stat, but it has never been on.
You never read it?
Nope.
Are you sure?
Positive.
All right. Then go finish it.
Now you ruined it, but
finish it. Go ahead.
So Larry Fitzgerald has more NFL career tackles at 37, unless that has changed yesterday, than drops at 29.
I don't think that changed. There's no way he dropped over 10 passes yesterday.
No, but it could have been 30 instead of 29.
I wasn't really paying attention.
I don't think you were watching if he tackled or dropped anything yesterday.
But I thought we read that stat, but I guess not.
No, I showed you the stat. Unless maybe, but who knows? But
I
all
know is
that is just
too.
ludicrous. That just shows you two things. One, Larry Fitzgerald is as sure-handed as they come. And two, he's played on a lot of teams that has thrown a lot of interceptions.
Yes.
So.
He's played with a lot of bad quarterbacks. That's what that says. But all right, anyway, again, that's going to do it. Jordan, Tom, Ringle, we will see you on Friday.